Oh no. Guys, it's literally been 3 days. 3 days since the ban list came out, and Konami has dropped a huge news. So I told you guys when we talked about the Dragon Ruler unhits that I didn't think that Dragon Rulers going from 2 to 3 would be relevant except exactly in a dedicated Dragon Ruler deck. And I said, okay, well, do I think a dedicated Dragon Ruler deck is going to function? Probably not, because I don't think the rank 7 engine is there right now. Good call me. Konami clearly agrees, because they released more Dragon Rulers. New Dragon Rulers in the year of our Lord 2024. What is going on? I of all the decks to get modern support, Dragon Rulers was the last one I would have expected. But here we are. So, for those of you that don't know, Dragon Rulers, there are 4 of them, and they all it's a fire, water, earth, and wind. And they all have the ability to banish a dragon, 2 dragon monsters, or a dragon and a monster of their attribute to special summon themselves from the hand or from the graveyard, I think. And then they get to do an effect, and then they come back to your hand at the end of the next turn. So they are very difficult to remove, they're very difficult to get stopped, and they banish a lot of cards. And they all have a really good effect. So now, the reason why Dragon Rulers were released, by the way, was to try and stop Chaos, because Chaos was so constant and prevalent, because Light and Dark get way more support than anything else. So the Dragon Rulers were an attempt to make the other attributes relevant, just like we had a Year of Fire. Now, they apparently have to make Chaos more relevant, because Fire has gone too far. So now we have a Light and a Dark Dragon Ruler. Let's go. Alright, so first up we have Spectre, Dragon Ruler of Light, which it looks like the English version is Dragon Ruler of Auroras. Hold on, let's see if I can zoom in at all. This little guy. He's so cute. That's like a little blue eyes. Level 2, so obviously not going to be used for Xyz material. 600 attack, 1000 defense. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name per turn, and only once that turn. Oh, sorry, you can only use one of these effects per turn, only once a turn. You can discard this card and one other light or dragon monster to add 2 Dragon Ruler monsters from your deck to your hand, except Spectre, Dragon Ruler of Auroras. That's right. Dragon Ruler is now officially an archetype with archetypal support, as opposed to being just generic good dragons. Really cool. You can banish this card and one other light or dragon monster from your graveyard, target one Chasmatis Dragon Ruler of Poles in your graveyard, and special summon it. What is Chasmatis Dragon Ruler of Poles? Well, let's find out. Next up we have the Dark version, also adorable, level 2, 1000 attack, 600 defense. Nebulous Dragon Ruler of Darknesses. Okay. You can only use one of the first and second effects of this card's name per turn, only once that turn. You can discard this card and one other dark or dragon monster, then target 2 of your banished Dragon Ruler monsters with different attributes. Special summon them, but they cannot attack this turn. Okay. So this fixes the problem of like a dedicated Dragon Ruler deck. The problem with a dedicated Dragon Ruler deck has always been you can't possibly get enough dragons out in your hand and in your graveyard to banish to actually summon more than like 1 or 2 Dragon Rulers. You will eventually have to start banishing the Dragon Rulers themselves, especially if you're running 3 copies of each one of them. You're just going to brick. Well, now it doesn't matter. Now you can use like Tempest and Tidal as material for Blaster, and then you could just special summon Tempest and Tidal from the Banish Zone. So this is fantastic. This card by itself makes a dedicated Dragon Ruler deck possible. It's absolutely insane. Second effect, you can banish this card and one other dark or dragon monster from your graveyard, then target one Eclipsis Dragon Ruler of Calamities in your graveyard and special summon it. Oh no. Oh no. I just heard the word Calamities. I don't like where this is going, chat. New Xyz monster, rank 7 and it's light. Chasmatis Dragon Ruler of Poles. Okay. Alright, so this is the monster that was mentioned on Spectre. Now, Spectre can only special summon it from the graveyard. It can't special summon it from the extra deck. So, how are we going to make this? 3,000 attack, 1,600 defense. Well, I did say that we needed some good rank 7s. Those are some good stats. 2 level 7 dragon monsters. Cool. It's not generic. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name each once per turn. As a quick effect, you can send 1 level 7 Dragon Ruler monster from your deck to the graveyard and detach 1 material from this card. This effect becomes that sent monster's effect that activates by discarding itself. That's really interesting. Okay, so let's take a look and see what our options are there. Tempest adds a dragon monster from the deck to the hand. Blaster targets a card on the field to destroy that target. Redox targets a monster in your graveyard and special summons it. And Tidal sends a monster from your deck to the graveyard. So, okay. Okay. So, you get to foolish for cost. So you're foolishing for cost, so your opponent cannot negate the fact that you have sent a Dragon Ruler monster to the graveyard from your deck. That you just get to do that. This effect becomes the sent monster's effect. So you detach 1 material, you mill, and then you can either foolish, Raigeki Break, Rhoda for a Dragon, or Monster Reborn. And you can Monster Reborn Redox. The Redox that you just milled. That's good. Those are some good options. And you could pick any one of them. Yeah, this is why Rafflesia is good. Rafflesia is good because it allows you to make use of cards that are already good in your deck, and you get to decide which card you're going to use on the fly. This is also good, except you don't have to run trap cards. If this card is destroyed by battle, or this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon 1 level 7 Dragon Ruler from your graveyard or banishment. Or banishment. Okay, so you don't have to use the Monster Reborn effect with Redox. You can pop a card with Blaster, then if your card gets destroyed, you get to bring Blaster back anyway. So it has a good float effect and a good quick effect, and it has good stats. And if it gets destroyed or linked off, you could just revive it. That's the crazy part. You can literally just link it off and then banish 2 cards from your graveyard to revive it. So, I don't know. That sounds good to me. Let's take a look at the next one. Yeah, that looks like Eclipsis Dragon Ruler of Calamities to me. Okay. Rank 7 Dark Dragon, 2,700 attack points, 1,900 defense points, 2 level 7 dragons. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is Xyz summoned, you can target 1 level 4 or lower Dragon Ruler monster in your graveyard or banishment. Special summon 1 level or rank 7 Dragon Ruler monster mentioned on it from your deck or banishment, then shuffle that target into the deck. Okay. So this is not the new cards. This is the baby rulers. So we have Reactin Dragon Ruler of Pebbles, which lets you the baby rulers all have the ability to discard themselves in a dragon to special summon a dragon ruler from the deck. So Reactin is the earth one, Steam is the water one, Burner is the fire one, and Lightning is the wind one. So So these cards, of course, okay. So we have reason to play the level 4s as well, which is good. That means that the deck is going to be even more consistent. So let's say that you want to play 3 of everything. So you play 3 copies of the new cards. That's 6 cards. You play 3 copies of Blaster, 3 copies of Inferno, 3 copies of Pebble, 3 copies of Redox, 3 copies of the Wind Baby, 3 copies of Tempest, 3 copies of the Drop Baby, and 3 copies of Tidal. That's 30 cards. So 30 cards, 10 hand traps. Deck builds itself. Now, obviously, maybe that's not the exact ratio you want to go with. Maybe you cut one of each of the babies. Maybe you only play 2 of the babies. That gives you a lot of dragons. That gives you an insane number of dragons, so that you can make sure that you're constantly banishing cards and able to summon or discard for all of your dragon rulers. This is good. This is really good. When your opponent activates a spell or trap card or effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. Okay, so it's a spell and trap effect negate, which is solid. Good enough. No monster negates yet, though. So far, if we look at this card, is a pop, Monster Reborn, Foolish Burial, or Rhoda for Dragons that floats. This card summons another level 7, and then also can negate a spell or trap. These 2 cards are good. I don't think that they can carry a board by themselves, though. So let's see what the last card is. That's a big dragon. Disaster Dragon Ruler of Extremes. Okay. It's pretty cool. The card, by the way, the the card text that I found, the name that was given in the automated translator is Disaster Dragon Ruler of Them All, which is a fantastic name. I hope they keep that name, but I'm sure that YGO organization knows what they're actually going to be called. Rank 7 Light Dragon Xyz monster. It's kind of sad that like this monster had to have an attribute. I mean, this is literally like supposed to be all of them combined, so it is kind of sad that they had to pick an attribute. I almost kind of wish they could have made this divine, but I can understand why they don't want to use the divine for that. It just feels bad when you have like an archetype that's all about every single attribute, and then you have to pick one for, you know, I don't know. 0 attack, 0 defense. That's not good. 2 rank 7 monsters. Okay. You have my attention. So I have to make 2 rank 7s to make this. That means that I give up 4 level 7s and 2 Xyz monsters. This card better be insane. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. Okay? If this card is Xyz Summon, you can target up to 4 level 7 Dragon Ruler monsters in your graveyard or that are banished. Attach them to this card as material. Then you can banish all monsters your opponent controls and all monsters in their graveyard with the same attributes as the monsters attached to this card. Okay. You have my attention. So I can literally banish every single monster my opponent controls and every single monster that is in their graveyard that's not divine. I'm sold. That's just good. That's just a really, really strong effect. Okay. But it's not a quick effect. So, that's very powerful going second. That's a very powerful effect going second. But, I mean, what if it gets negated, right? If this card has light, dark, earth, water, fire, wind, and wind Dragon Ruler monsters as material, it gains 4,600 attack and defense. Also, it is unaffected by other cards' effects. Okay. So it has 4,600 attack and defense. And it's unaffected by every other card's effect. Now, that doesn't mean that its first effect can't be negated, because you have to target the cards and you don't get to attach them as material until the effect resolves. So the first effect can be negated, and if it is, then the card is not unaffected anymore. But that's really strong. It's almost worth thinking that maybe you make this on turn 1. But no, you can still kaiju it. What deck can out of 4,600 towers? Hero. Hero can out towers really easily. Anything else? Does Tenpai have an out for this? They can bounce. Oh, Tenpai can raise Dragion's attack points to 6,000. Okay. So Tenpai can out this. Can Yubel? Yubel doesn't have to out this. Yubel can just attack into it with Nightmare Pain. I don't know enough about Raziel. I haven't paid attention to any of their decks yet. Yeah, I don't know. This is a really cool card. It's a really cool card, but it's not enough going first, and it's just going to get negated going second. Maybe the plan is blind second with Dark Ruler no more. That's really good. If you just say, hey, you know what, I'm just not going to win the game on turn 2, I'm just going to clear the board and pass, then this could be a really good deck. Okay. I'm in. Blind second Dragon Rulers. Okay. They got a new spell. Drago Catastrophe. Quick play spell card. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name once per turn, and only once that turn. Oh, you can only use one of them per turn, only once that turn. I don't know why I can't read this in English for some reason. Special summon 1 Dragon Ruler monster from your hand, graveyard, or banishment. Good. Amazing. So that means we have a card that actually allows us to summon these giant level 7s with no cost. Finally. That's what we needed to make a dedicated Dragon Ruler deck. I don't care if this card isn't searchable. Having this card will make your deck actually work some of the time. So this is a great addition. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can Exceed summon 1 Dragon Ruler monster using only Dragon Ruler monsters you control as material. Ho, 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 ho! Hold on a second. Okay. Now I see what they're cooking. So if you can Exceed summon this card on your opponent's turn, now we're talking. But you need the spell, and there's no way to search it. Is there? Did the light one have a way to search this? No. There's no way to search it. Ah. If this card was searchable, this would be an insane deck. Maybe there's a support that we don't know about yet. Maybe. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target any of your banished Dragon Ruler monsters with different attributes, and return them to the graveyard. That's interesting. So the Dragon Rulers can special summon themselves from the graveyard, just not from banishment. That's a really good recovery effect. Okay. All right. And that's it, chat. So there you go. This is insane. I love the idea of uniting all 6 Dragon Rulers together to make one giant unkillable boss monster. I wish it had 5,000 attack points, to be honest, but it's okay that it has 4,600. That's close enough. All right, my name is Serafi. I'm thrilled to have all of you with me.